Hi everyone, for today's book review we're going to be checking out The Life and Ship Models of Norman Ough, written by Alastair Roach. Norman Ough was certainly an eccentric gentleman. He lived in a one-room apartment that was basically filled with the various models that he was building, together with construction equipment, handmade laths, a great deal of books, ship plans, drawings, you name it. And in one little corner he had a little stove to keep him energized so that he could power through building all his various models. Up until his death in 1964, he was considered among the greatest model shipbuilders, and when you view his exceptional work today, you can understand that he was truly a talented individual. He built models at a time before the internet, before we had laser scanned plans, when a lot of the ships that he was building models of, i.e. The battlecruiser Hood, other battleships and destroyers of the Royal Navy, their plans were still considered top secret, or at least were locked away by the Admiralty. They weren't freely available as they are today. So his ability to get almost every single detail correct shows his level of attention to detail and craftsmanship. He not only built models, but he also drew plans and detailed views of particular components of ships. All of this information is detailed in this book. We are treated to a brief overview of his life. We know that while he was a pacifist, he still made sure that during the Blitz in London, he was standing on the rooftops, making sure that if bombs fell, fire departments could be directed and rescue personnel could be sent to rescue trapped people. He was also involved in producing some of the miniatures used in World War II propaganda movies. In particular, he built a 5-meter miniature, if it can be called a miniature, of the Ark Royal that was used in the 1941 movie Ships with Wings. He specialized in Royal Naval warships, and his portfolio is pretty much full of exquisite work depicting battleships, destroyers, cruisers, submarines even. They're all there. And this book details not only the models, but also the life of the models, the provenance, the history behind its commissioning, and its eventual fate or location. Many of them are still with us and can be found in the archives at the Royal National Maritime Museum in Greenwich. I hope I got that right, but it's at the Maritime Museum in Greenwich. And his plans are now kept, restored, and digitized in the Brunel Society. At the Brunel Trust. This book also looks at the individual models, and a substantial part of it, about a third, is also a series of reprints giving you the articles that Norman himself wrote back in the 50s and the 60s about how to build model ships. This is also back in the day, again, where we didn't have 3D printers and plastics were still quite a novelty. Much of what he built was through craftsmanship. He even had his own personalized lathe so he could make his miniaturized gun barrels. One particularly interesting story in the book is that he was unsatisfied with the width of string that were available to build the radio aerials. So he solved it by simply taking some hair from his sister, and thus her hair was used for radio aerials. Like I said, quite an interesting fellow. This book is just full of information, especially if you love building models and enjoy the challenge of how you can replicate something in miniature yet try to get it as correct as possible. And the book demonstrates this through many illustrations and replication of his drawings, some of which you have no doubt been seeing on the side up here. It's a wonderful book and a particular goldmine for those of you who love model shipbuilding, or even, in my instance, just appreciate the craftsmanship that go into building these beautiful works in miniature. So if that is your interest, do hunt this book down. For me, this is a full captain's hats. It has everything. It has all the information about his models and where to view them if you can. It has information about how to build model ships, particular challenges, his articles, his drawings, some of which are included and replicated in beautiful crystal clear detail. It's wonderfully illustrated and the book just flows very well. We do get an insight into the man's life. So within these pages, his spirit certainly comes alive and we can understand how he went about his work. So, full captain's hats for the life and ship models of Norman Ough. If you love model ships, replica miniatures, do check this book out. Highly recommended.